folks, welcome to Myers Metal Detectors, located in sunny Tampa, Florida, where we sell nothing but fun and adventures, treasure hunting gear, and anything you can imagine for metal detecting. Give us a call, 813-237-1939. Happy hunting and dig deeper.
Live from sunny Florida, it's Treasure Talk.
You're live, Philip.
Well, folks, welcome to another exciting show of Treasure Talk, and we've got an exciting guest for today. And of course, if you don't know me, because we have so many new members, I saw on Facebook we're up well over, I guess, 1,200, and we got a bunch on YouTube. So I want to introduce myself real quick. I'm Phil Myers from Myers Metal Detectors. I'm here with my good friend Jeff Monin, and we've got an exciting guest today. But I guess I should go ahead and read the disclaimer, huh?
Yep, that'd be the thing to do.
Okay. Oh, and I didn't introduce my wife. She's sitting over here and she's holding her hands out like this. So Jocelyn's here with me to hand me the questions. So if you have some questions, yes, she's here. All right. Today's show is brought to you by your friends at Myers Metal Detectors, where we not only sell fun, but we sell adventure. And the views, thoughts, and opinions expressed here by the Treasure Talk guests and members belong solely to the guests and members only, and not necessarily to Phil Myers, Myers Metal Detectors, Jeff Monin, or Jocelyn Myers. So there we go. And then the other thing I want to just remind everybody real quick, the purpose of Treasure Talk is to promote the hobby of metal detecting, treasure hunting, and educate our members in a fun, exciting way. And we've got an exciting show for today. So take it away, Jeff.
Yes, indeed we do, everybody. We've got, the hype has been going on for a long time about this, and now it's finally time. We were able to do some shifting in our schedule, and Trevor was nice enough to shift some in his schedule because we know that y'all were really anxious to know about these new coils from Coiltek for the MyLab Equinox. So we were able to do a little shifting, and Trevor was so kind to change his schedule a little bit, so he's our guest tonight, and we've got a bunch of questions for him, and I know y'all are just anxious as you can be about these new Coiltek coils for the MyLab Equinox. So without any other thing to do here, I'm going to bring Trevor on, and he's waiting in the green room, so I'm going to bring him on. So let's welcome Trevor from Coiltek.
Hey, Trevor, hey everyone, how you doing? From down under.
Yes,
Thank you for having me on.
Well, welcome, and we're glad you could be here, and we're so excited about the new coils. And actually, my distributor, I think, may be sending me one or two of each one. So
crossing my fingers.
Yes. How are you doing on the production of those?
Whew. Well, it's been a little bit crazier than we first thought, that's for sure. We knew these would be quite exciting to get out into the world and have a lot of people's interest, but we never thought it would be this big. So it's been fantastic. The response has been really positive for the coils that are out there at the moment, and everyone's really excited about getting some new toys to play with. So I think it's certainly been quite pleasing, and we're very humbled and very thankful that the world's pretty excited by this as well as we are. So yeah, very good.
So how I know you've got to have tons of back orders. How soon do you think you'll be able to work through that?
So we do appreciate everyone's patience. We only can do what we can do. We've got some new staff, and we've got production lines happening at the moment. We're doing everything we can to bring them through to make sure the quality remains high. So we don't want to push these through production too quick and not have any quality control. So that's the biggest thing that I'm trying to make sure that everyone understands here, is that our quality is first, to make sure that the product works well and looks great for the customer. And as people get more skilled, we will have more production coming through, because you just naturally get a bit quicker at stuff as you're going through. So yes, we're trying to get them out as quickly as possible. We've got plenty on order globally at the moment, and so we're just trying to to give the allocation as fair as possible for the global demand. In the US, we've certainly got some excellent orders, and we've sent over a bunch to our distributor already, and he's allocating them out, and we'll have another bunch coming out next week for him, and we'll just continually just keep sending 100 coils here and there as we can, as we get them going. So like I said, we're just trying to allocate as fair as possible, because it is a pretty big global demand at the moment. So yeah, we can appreciate everyone wants it now, but at the moment it's just been a little bit tricky to try and satisfy everyone all at once in that regards.
Yeah, I've used your coils before on my CTX, and they're, for folks who haven't used a Coiltek coil, they're excellent coils.
Thank you.
I know they're going to love them. But I guess, Jeff, do you want to start talking about each individual coil?
Yeah, I think so. People they're wondering, and I think, Phil's got a lot of questions about that. What was that, Phil?
I said,
I'm ready.
Questions here.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I've got loads of answers.
Have you personally used the coils, Trevor?
Yes. Yeah. I've used the coils, not as much as what I'd like. I tend to get stuck in the office and in the production side of things, more so than getting out there having a swing. But yeah, definitely used all the coils. Found some modern coins with them and just did some initial testing. But yeah, love to get out more and use them, because we see so many good finds coming in with our products, but don't get to use them as much. But we essentially have our testing regime here. So every coil is put through a calibration machine to make sure that they're correctly chipped and programmed, and then every coil gets run over an Equinox 800, and we do depth test and make sure that the numbers come up right for each coil, because when a customer puts on a Coiltek coil, they don't want the numbers to be totally different from the MindLab coil.
Right.
So we need to make sure that they're all the same in that regard. So everyone gets 100% tested here by the team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm real anxious myself for the 5x10, because this time of the year it's cooler in Florida. Like today, it was in the low 70s, and I'm not a beach hunter this time of the year. Now I'm trying to hit a little dirt. I didn't go today, but I've been using the 6-inch coil on the Equinox, and I like that coil, but it's too small. So I'm hoping that 5x10 will give me a little bit more on each pass, each sweep, at the same or better depth, and I'll be happy. It'll be a hot seller, because it's a little lighter, I'm sure, than the stock coil, isn't it?
It's going to be lighter than the stock 11, yes, and it's definitely going to give you that little bit more coverage. And depth-wise, it'd probably be somewhat similar to the 6, maybe a little bit more. We'll just have to wait and see as more reports come back in that sense. Air tests are always a bit funky to do. We never really like air tests. They give you a representation, but they're not actual what you're going to get in the ground in some situations. So we don't really sort of put any air tests or results up. We get a lot of questions about what's the difference between ours and the MindLab, what's your comparison tests. But just so everyone knows, we don't actually publicise any comparison tests or figures in relation to the different size coils, because our test conditions and other people's test conditions can be different. And if we go out there and start saying that this coil can do X and someone can't replicate it, it becomes a little bit of a conjecture. So we actually give you understanding about what each coil can do, but we don't actually publicise or give any actual depth comparison tests to any other product in that sense. So.
Yeah, I can understand that. And each individual person could have different soil that they're hunting in. So, and the test could be different in my area compared to some place where there's real heavy mineralization. So,
and they, another thing too, Phil, not to interrupt, but if you're doing that, people got their machines set up so many different ways. They want to X out this and X out that, so they don't want to hear this or they don't want to hear that. Well, how are you ever going to get a true representation from that? So
exactly, and people can sort of, yeah, we've done it many years in the past, and they say, oh, your sensitivity wasn't up, or mine wasn't as good, and like you said, different segments can be blacked out, and it becomes a little bit of a, we don't want to get into any of that sort of discussion. So we say that these coils are going to be good in these situations, but as far as depth comparisons, we get asked a lot for them, but our comment is always the same. We don't publicise any depth comparisons to any other brands. We promote our brand. We know the MindLab coils are fantastic on the machine because the machine's fantastic overall. These are just 3 new opportunities, 3 new different tools that you can use in either the same ground or different ground that'll give you more opportunity in that ground.
Yeah, I myself am waiting for the 9x14.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I'm going to hunt in water with that. Yeah,
that's going to be a good water hunter. It is a bit more of a robust coil, so everyone's really considers the weight a big factor, and we do too. But at the moment, the 14x9 is going to be a fantastic water hunter.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna take you back to the 5x10 again, because that one is lighter than the 11-inch stock coil, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
And I know on your site, I think you've got the weights of them, correct?
I do, but I don't have my site up. It's about 480.
480 grams?
Yeah, somewhere around 480 grams, and convert that to ounces. 10 ounces is 3. So yes, probably around about 20 ounces. Is that possible? I'm not very good on that conversion. My apologies.
I'm not worried about that. The people on the show, they can do that on their phone or whatnot.
Yeah, that's right. People understand metric versus imperial system. Yeah, actually 426 grams. I've just got it up now. So yes, if someone wants to put that in the feed and how many ounces that is for our US friends.
But I have a lot of customers ask me, why should they buy the Coiltek coils? They've already have the 3 MindLab coils, and I think you've already hit on it. It's just another tool in their arsenal for detecting. And
yeah, exactly.
And back to the 5x10. I swing that 6-inch coil, and I'm just like, you're forever overlapping, so you're going real slow, which is a good thing in detecting, but you're not covering much ground with each swing. And is the depth, you said, is going to be comparable to the 6-inch, maybe a little deeper?
Maybe a little deeper. Usually depth is a bit of a factor of how wide the coil is. So if we go like for like sizes, people think about a 10-inch round versus a 10-inch elliptical. The 10-inch round will be wider, a deeper searcher, because it's a broader coil. So when you go to a 6-inch round, it's got 6 inches of width. So, it does have some good depth capabilities. So if we squash the 10x5 and you sort of squash it down so it becomes roughly round, it'll probably be around about a 7.5-inch round coil. Okay. So essentially you can sort of see that will have a little bit more depth capability there, but how much is going to be really dependent on the user, the ground conditions, and the target.
Right.
So the target orientation and the target composition and the target size. So there's many factors that come into detection of those targets. It's not just beep beep, as we know. We hear that, but we don't understand the whole process that's going through in that detector and coil to make that all happen. So it's really important to understand that these coils are not, for want of a better term, better than the MindLabs. We're not saying that they're better. They're different. So when you go to a ground with your 6-inch coil and you go back over with your 11-inch, you would expect to find some different targets, because the 6 inches has a certain target field pattern to search for coins and relics in the ground, and the 11-inch will have a different magnetic field pattern compared to that 6-inch. So it's the same with the coils that we've got. They fit in between the MindLabs, so we didn't want to make them compete against the mine labs,
Right.
but they will do something different in the ground compared to the mine labs in regards to depth, sensitivity, target pinpointing, target separation, elliptical versus round. So if you've gone to an area and you've used all the mine lab coils in that area and you think you've gotten everything from it, you put on one of these different coils and you can go back to that same ground, and there will no doubt be targets that will just come out because each coil has a different window of perfect target response.
Right.
So, you know, that's why I think people should buy one, no problems, because obviously they're our coils. So everyone go out and buy one. However, you only need to buy 3. That's right. Yeah, that's right. Buy all 3. Why not have 6 coils?
Buy them from Myers, though.
Yeah, that's right. Go see Phil.
Right.
But it's like your toolbox in your shed, or you know, a lady's makeup box, or you know, anyone that's got things that they need to use. They don't just have one stick of something or one tool that does everything. They need to have different tools to do different jobs. You know, you wouldn't use your mower to do the edges of your lawn. You'd use a whipper snipper or a brush cutter or something like that. So these coils are somewhat similar in that, you know, that 6-inch coil is not going to do everything in that ground. It's going to see some good targets, but it's not going to do everything. So by using these other coils and getting one in between what you've currently got, it will definitely, you know, give you another opportunity in the ground. So if the target's there and laying correctly and in the right magnetic field depth and within its range, it'll definitely see it. So I think the 10x5, it's by far our bestseller at the moment. That's the one we've got the most orders for. And I think people have really like that 10x5 size to sort of maneuver around and get some good target separation and sensitivity.
Yeah, that's what I was going to use it for. 2 purposes. One is I'm using the 6-inch now for where they torn houses down, and there's just metal targets everywhere, all kinds of junk everywhere, and it does. And the depth, I'm still getting decent depth. So if you get decent depth with the Coiltek and cover more ground, I know it's going to be a hot coil to use. And I think too, some of the questions we've had in here were from women. I think too, they would probably prefer that coil as well, even for beach hunting. If you needed to lighten up your detector and make it easier to use. I always thought smaller coils, I mean, I just, from the beginning of my detector, I mean, I had a White's Eagle, and I had a 4-inch coil for it.
Wow, it's tiny.
And it, yeah, the depth wasn't that great, but I was hunting in downtown Tampa where there was activity for a couple hundred years, or almost a couple hundred years. So you had iron junk, and the processors were a lot slower then. Okay, this is like probably almost, 35 years ago? It was a long time ago. And the processors were slower, so the way we did it was we used a smaller coil to get through all the junk. And that's what the 5x10 does even better, because it's faster. But let me just, my wife is wanting her pad back, but let me ask a question that has come up like 5 times already. Is that about the coil ears? The strength of those, because that's been a little bit of an issue on the Mine Lab coil. So, how are you?
So we feel very confident with ours that they'll have less problems. We've made them quite wide at the base. We've got some supporting struts on the 15-inch, and the 14x9 and 10x5 have similar looking brackets. We actually did a test about 2 weeks ago to make sure everything was right, and our engineer here was trying to break the wings essentially, and the Mine Lab shaft broke before the wings broke. So it essentially is going to be quite strong. I think people will find that they will be quite robust. Obviously, if you're going to use them to pole vault over a stream or something, or if you're going to try and use them as a, you know, sometimes when you're down on your knees, you can hold the coil shaft and try and get up. And if you move it past a certain distance, you know, anything's going to break. But they shouldn't break just in general use. We've had these coil wings, especially for the 14x9, which is on the CTX like you've used, Phil.
Yes.
You know, how have you found those ears? Because they're essentially the same coil.
Yeah, it's perfect. And I think a lot of times with the MindLab product, there are a little bit of user issues, you know, the washer's wearing and just over tightening the bolt. You know, a lot of things cause that. So it's not all necessarily MindLab on that. I think you replaced your washers and didn't let your washer wear down and start wearing into the hard plastic, the two hard plastic surfaces rubbing against each other and then retightening it. You know, it's going to happen eventually on that. So
yeah, well, that's right. The rubber washers are basically a consumable. So, you know, every time you change a coil, I would have a look at them, make sure they're slightly proud of the width of the plastic rod down the bottom there. You want your washers to be slightly proud of that, because then you're getting friction against the rubber rather than the plastic. So yeah, I would recommend everyone check the washers down there. Only tighten it so the coil is not going to be loose and floppy. So, you know, you'll feel that point where it no longer rocks easily. And then that's pretty good for tightness, for also a bit of maneuverability, because sometimes you might need to poke the nose down or bring the nose up just to sort of maneuver up banks or around areas. So then it's quite an easy thing. If you're over tightening it too much, the coil's going to have a bit of stress there as you're moving it upwards and downwards. It needs a little bit of tiny little bit of play, but yeah, definitely check the washers. That's a good point. But so far, the ears, the wings, or the shaft mounting position, we've had very good success. Our 15-inch round coil has been out for 8 years in that design, and we've seen 2 coils come back with wings broken, and it was from the same gentleman here in Australia. He must have used it as a bit of a leaning tool or something, but we've only ever seen 2 wings broken that we know of that have been sent back. Usually we would hear if something's going on quite bad, but so far so good.
All right, well, I've got a lot of questions here, so I'm going
I have a quick one here.
And you jump in, Jeff. Go right ahead.
Now, these coils are going to fit my detect edge shaft, correct?
Correct, yes. Yep.
Okay, good. I just wanted to know.
Yeah. We've got a few people out there with like aftermarket shafts that they all fit. As you know, we've made the wing spacing to suit the MindLab, and I think most aftermarket shaft manufacturers would fit that as same sort of width as well. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Dale Justice, this should be a quick one to answer. What's a whippersnipper?
A whippersnipper, that's a good one. So that's like a line trimmer. I don't know what you call them here.
A weed eater.
Weed eater, yeah. They're basically, you know, where you do your edges and around fences and stuff. We call them whippersnippers down here.
Yeah.
Whippersnapper is a junior, is a little kid. Your whippersnapper, that's what we call the little kids. But the whippersnipper is the
weed eater. Okay.
Yeah, the weed eater. Yeah.
Glad we got that one.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's the crucial stuff here on Treasure Talk.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so Ed Osmar is asking about the weight of the 14x9. Now, how does that compare to the stock 11-inch?
Yeah, so the 14x9 is heavier than the stock 11. It is, like I said, more of a robust coil. I'm just going to get the weight up. I think I saw someone talk about it on the feed there. It's about 790 grams, so it's definitely, you know, it's got a little bit of weight to it. I'm going to put grams to ounces in my trusty Google, and we're going to put 790, so about 27, 28 ounces.
Yeah, and how does that compare to the large MindLab? Is it 15x12?
Yeah, I'm not sure how heavy their coils are, to be honest. I haven't, you know, got that comparison on hand, but I'm sure someone might be able to put that up. But look, it is a heavier coil. It balances. I think you said, Jeff, that it how's the balance? I found the balance not too bad, but obviously the further out you get the coils and the longer you use them, we would recommend, you know, if you've got bungee harnesses and things to help take the weight, if you want to use that all day, if you're finding you're getting a little bit sore in the arm, that's why we say the 14x9 is going to be your best water hunter, because it's going to have that negative buoyancy, so it'll just want to sink down onto that bottom of the water, push through the sand nicely, cut through the water well. Same with the dry sand too. You can basically push that along the sand. It'll just, all those ridges of the sand, it'll try and flatten out and give you the most depth. But yeah, I've found that the 14x9 wasn't too bad, but it depends on the person as well. It might not be for everyone, but that's okay. There'll be a coil out there that'll help them for sure.
Sure.
And
I mean,
then,
6 coils, everybody ought to be able to find at least 1 or 2 or 3.
Yeah, that's right. Whether it's a MindLab one or a Coiltek one, you know, the main thing is they're out there searching and, you know, using the coils in the right spots. Always pains me when I hear people say they've used a coil, but it's just in the cupboard all the time. We all know they have their favourites, but I can guarantee that people can go to that same area that they've used one coil on and change coils. And you guys might have done it before, where you've taken a different coil back to somewhere where you think was hunted out, and you still find a target or two. So,
absolutely. If I have a productive spot, I will for sure go over 2 or 3 different size coils and different directions, and you know, just do. Hey, so that I can finish up this one sheet of questions that I have. Are you guys planning on any other coils for any other manufacturers like Garrett or one of the other Naka? Or
not at this stage. No, we're just concentrating on the MindLab products at this stage. We have a collaborative relationship with them, so we're, you know, putting all our eggs in that basket, so to speak. But we've got some brilliant opportunities with them with these Equinox and future products. So we've been making coils to suit the MindLabs for many years, so we have a good understanding there of what their coils require. And, you know, our quality systems and procedures are all in place now to make sure that gives them confidence that they can put their name on our product too. So we've actually got MindLab approved logo on it. So hopefully it'll give the customer a little bit more, you know, confidence that they're buying a product that's been, you know, Coiltek quality tested and also MindLab approved.
Right. And I always watch a lot of YouTube videos, and they're hunting there in Australia, gold prospecting. They have some of your coils on. They're always doing fantastic. I wish I could do that one day. Be down there digging in the gold there. Hey, another question that we just had on the show. How about your warranty? What is your warranty period on the coils?
2 years from purchase date. So if someone, as soon as it's purchased by a customer, they can go onto our website, coiltek.com.au. We've got a warranty page there where they fill in their details. That registers the warranty with us, so we've got some information if there is any issues. It doesn't mean that your warranty is not valid if you don't register. It just means that you register it with us, so if you have any issues, we can quickly look you up and go, yeah, definitely purchased on this date. But it doesn't mean that your warranty's invalid if you don't register. We still honour that warranty for 2 years.
Okay, good.
Good. Do you have anything, Eric, Jeff? I don't
No, I guess we had a question come through on YouTube from Lawnmower Man 219. He wants to know if the skid plate is included, and I think it probably is, isn't it?
Yes, correct. Yeah, all our coils, no matter what coil they are, come with a skid plate and nut and bolt. So we sell them as separate accessories if you want to get extras later on, but they always come with a skid plate. It's it's something that I think, you know, needs to come with the coil because it's part of the whole coil outfit. So the customer needs to have that straight away.
Yeah, and Phil, that's parts that Phil will keep in stock as well. Extra skid plates, nuts and bolts and washers and that type of thing. He's always got that in the shop. So. Yeah,
you know, that's so important is that you call it a skid plate, but we call it a coil cover. That
coil cover, yep.
yeah, that you have that on your detector because it protects the coil. Because to replace a skid plate or coil cover is relatively inexpensive, but you wear, because I've seen people do it, and it's
Yeah.
I've seen people. It doesn't happen that often that they would actually wear through the coil, but they, especially somebody who's slightly disabled, and you can see where there's a wear pattern on one edge of the coil. And
Yeah.
I've seen other ones where it got like a pinhole in the bottom of the coil, and that kind of trashes it because moisture gets in there. And I think
Yeah.
it's important to have that coil cover on there all the time. That way you can actually scrub the ground with the coil and get maximum depth. At least that's what
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I've.
we make the skid plates out of polypropylene, so it's quite a durable plastic, so it can take a fair bit of roughing up, so to speak, but they are a consumable part. All skid plates should be seen as a consumable part. If you start to see that it's wearing through on the edges or anything like that, they're not that expensive to get, and they do protect your investment of the coil.
Right.
All our Knox coils are fully waterproof and fully potted with epoxy resin, so they're quite firm, and there's very minimal risk that you're going to get into the electronics of the coil to damage it. However, like you're saying, wearing a skid plate on that coil or a coil cover is certainly recommended, but not necessary.
Yeah.
You know, we don't. What I'm saying is, your warranty's not void if you don't use it, because really the skid plate on these things is, protects that base of the coil. But if some people out there like taking it off and just using it without it, it's up to the individual. But skid plates, I think they're always good to be used.
Absolutely. I wouldn't recommend taking it off. Even in the water, I'd still have that skid plate on it because I like I said, scrub the ground. Because if you hold that coil up off the ground, a lot of people I see will do that if they don't have a skid plate on it. They're holding it up an inch or two off the ground. They're losing a lot of depth, I think.
Yeah, well, 1 inch above the ground is 1 inch less into the ground. So every inch you come off the ground, the magnetic field's raising up with it. So because it's a limited field that moves with the coil, it doesn't sort of stay there as your coil goes up and down. It sort of moves with it. So the lower you can get to the ground, the better. You just need to watch for mineralization. So if you get into areas where the ground can be a bit of black sand or it's a bit more reactive soils, when you get really close to the ground, you can oversaturate the coil with ground response because the ground's going to be activated by the magnetic field. So you get a lot of feedback, so to speak. So you can get quite noisy in some of these areas if you're really right on the ground. So by coming off the ground a little bit more just allows the coil to balance a little bit better. Some areas, it's definitely not good to go right onto the ground, but that's going to be, the detector will tell you that. If you're right on the ground and it's going crazy because of mineralization, if you come off a little bit, it can be a lot smoother.
Yeah, we're here in Florida, and at least in my area, it's pretty neutral. There's no mineralization, other than on the beach you'll have salt mineralization. But
yes.
I always scrub the ground. How about you, Jeff?
Yeah, I'm always scrubbing the ground. Basically, we were water hunters on the beach, and people always ask us, aren't you afraid of stingrays? Well, I'm really not, because that coil is kicking up sand every time in front of me as I scrub the ground, and that scares the stingrays away. So I just always done that and been fairly successful with that. So I agree, Trevor. We got to scrub the ground. Don't lift it up, start banana boating it, then you're going to not anything,
Yeah, that's right. That sort of swing like this it can be very noisy too, because your coil's changing relationship to the ground all the time. As soon as you twist it this way and that way. And sometimes you get into regions where you can put your coil up like this and it starts going and it starts going crazy, but you go back down and it's nice and smooth. So the more horizontal you can get it and keep it in a nice level plane, the smoother the operation will be.
Yeah, and just a reminder to folks, when you're using that coil cover, Mark Hoover just mentioned it on Facebook. I think that you're on Facebook. He said, make sure you pull it off every once in a while and clean all the sand and stuff out of it. So if you did get some mineralized black sand or whatnot in there, it could have an effect on the detector. So every once in a while, clean it out just to make it a little lighter. If you get all that sand in between the coil and the cover, it could get, and
it wears.
Adds a little bit of weight.
okay, so and then we had a question on why do some people run their coil without a coil cover, and I can answer that one. Sometimes in the water, some of the coils are a little thinner. As you're slicing through the water, it's a little easier sometimes, but I don't even do it there. I just, if the coil cover makes you go a little slower, that's a good thing.
Yeah, slower is better. You don't want to go too crazy fast in the water because there is a fair bit of drag on that shaft. You don't want to jeopardize anything in there. So just take your time in the water. But I think also some people like just taking off a few ounces of weight as well because they think every ounce matters. So, but yeah, like we said, cleaning.
Trevor.
What's that?
That's just in Weight Watchers.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Did I just quote that?
As far as the going slow, that's where us old geezers have the advantage. We can't move that fast.
That's right.
Some of the best hunters are the oldest or the biggest guys.
Yeah. I also find that the ladies are very good hunters and they're very precise too. The husband and wife teams that I know, especially from the gold prospecting here in Australia, the husband and wife teams do well because the husband's out there bulldozing everything and going as fast as he can, trying to find the next patch. And when he finds something, he says, "Here you go, wife, clean it up." And she's very meticulous, and off she goes, and she'll get everything off there. So the girls are fantastic detectorists.
A lot more patient.
Yeah, very thorough. And, multitasking, they can listen to sounds and numbers and understand what's going on. They hear the bird and make sure the grass is growing and they'll find the targets. It's good to watch the girls hunt, that's for sure.
Yeah, because every time I look at the grass, I think, well, geez, I got to mow,
That's right. We're just thinking of other things. That's it.
Well, my friend Michael Boyles just said, my Knox goes in the shower with me after each beach hunt. So he gets the sand out of his coil. And also Ed Osmore.
It's a very intimate relationship he has with his detector. Yeah, good on him.
Detector, he does. And Ed Osmore is asking, where is the sweet spot on the 9x14 for pinpointing?
So if you use the pinpoint button on the Knox, it'll be right under the middle like the other coils with that pinpoint mode. But if you're going to use the crosshair method and sort of come up on the target, it's usually about 1 inch in from the nose. So when you have a double D coil, the two Ds cross over in the middle for your transmit and your receive side. So where that crossover starts is going to be the most sensitive point for pinpointing, as long as your target is, closer to the coil. The further the target is away from the coil, the more central it needs to be to the coil's shape. But as you get a bit closer, you can start to really pinpoint in on that nose and just use that nose of the coil. About at 1 inch in, it'll start to signal off and you can find your sweet spot in and around there. The actual outer section of the coil is working to transmit and receive, but the most sensitive area is through that center, which is where we have the crossover and where we've got to calibrate the coils perfectly to make sure that they're not seeing transmit and receive. So when the detector's pulsing, it's not getting signals from the other side of the coil. So a little bit of technical talk there.
Yeah, well, that's
like that. Our people like that. Also, I got a question here, Phil, from YouTube. Mark Fiorella wants to know, is there any kind of a military discount on Coiltek coils?
You'll need to talk with your dealer for that, whether dealers offer any of that. We don't, as Coiltek, offer any membership discounts or anything like that because we don't deal direct with the public. We only deal with our dealers, but we let the dealers handle those side of things. So if you've got any questions in regards to that, please contact your dealer.
Just tell them to give me a ring on that. We'll send them a shirt or we'll send them something for thanking them for his service. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We got another question, Phil. I keep bumping in here. Clive Clinic wants to know, has anyone asked about North American availability yet? Now, Clive is up there in Canuckville, up in Canada.
Okay, in Canada. Welcome. So we've just set up our new distribution in Canada with Radio World, and Radio World will be our distributor and be distributing to some of the other local dealers around. So we're working on the first order to get to Canada as soon as we can. So that hopefully will be by the end of March, we'll have some stock over that way. But like I said, we're just trying to make sure that we're catching up and keeping up to date with everything at the moment. We've got some orders that have been in for a while, so we're trying to service everyone as quickly as possible and as fairly as possible. But yes, we do have distribution now. If you contact your Canadian dealer or Radio World, I'm sure they'll have a list going and they can put you on there and let you know when stock starts arriving.
Well, but Myers gets his first, though, right?
Yes, we get ours before the Canadians do. All right, my buddy, you just got to wait. Or you could make a trip to Florida as soon as Canada gets opened back up. But I got another one here, and this was preferenced by, this might be a stupid question, but on Treasure Talk, there are no stupid questions. We're all here to learn. So
that's right. I can give stupid answers, so that's the main thing.
Yeah. Right. That's the only thing I didn't like about the question, but it's from Big League Tibbs, and he says, where exactly is the signal coming from on the coil? Is it dead center, or is it all around the whole coil?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So more technical talk here. Essentially, you have two Ds in the coil. So Ds that are back to back, and maybe I should draw something for everyone. But you have two Ds back to back, and the Ds actually cross over in the center. So one's a transmit coil and one's a receive coil. I don't know if you're going to see this. I'm not very good at writing. E before I. That's what I've got to do. So I don't know if you can see this. There we go. And so it's not a butt crack. Sorry, that's Aussie humour. So it's actually transmit and receive. Okay. So you essentially have two Ds that cross over in the middle. So this center section here is where you basically have your main sensitivity point. And so it transmits from one side, and as that transmit pulses into the ground, the receive circuit starts to listen for any response. So that's why we have to calibrate the coils to make sure that they're not talking to each other from side to side. So essentially you're transmitting from half the coil and receiving from half the width of the coil. So whether that's a 10 by 5 or a 15-inch round, you're essentially only transmitting from half a coil. But you can appreciate that half of a 15-inch is far wider and bigger than half of a 10 by 5. So that's why we say it has more depth capability. So as we start to broaden out our transmit field, we lose sensitivity because it's quite broad and a larger magnetic field. So it's a bit like a torch light when you've got one of those torches that has a broad beam and you can narrow it down to get really focal on one point. Essentially, you can, it's the same sort of thing. As we go broader with a coil, the torch beam's quite wide, so you're seeing a lot, but it's a bit fuzzy. It's not exactly in focus. And when you narrow that beam right down and you're pinpointing on something with the torch, it's very bright and clearly seen. So that's what a small coil's like as far as, you know, the magnetic field goes. But you're essentially transmitting from one half and receiving from another.
Okay.
Good to know.
That was a good lesson on coils. So hopefully we're educating our members here. And Jeff, it looks like you ran I can't believe it went that fast. 45 minutes is gone.
Yeah, we're 45 minutes in. So it is giveaway time. And Trevor, in his kindness, has agreed to give away 2 sets tonight of a Coiltek hat. And it's a Coiltek Finds bag, isn't it, Trevor?
Yeah. We've got some like backpack, sling backpack style, and some hats available. So we'll put something together for the lucky people.
Okay, well, we've got the winners here, and how we run it, Trevor, is I'm going to announce the names, and they'll have 3 minutes to text either Phil or myself or Facebook Messenger us. And they have to be tuned in to win, and then they'll get me all their information, and I will forward it to you, and you can send it out. So those winners now, just be patient. It's got to come from Australia. So, you know, give us a little time on that. But I can tell you from in the past experience, Trevor, if he says he's going to send something, he sends it as soon as he's got it.
Yeah, we send it. Actually, we've got this stock with our distributor in the US, so it should be a lot quicker this time.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. So here we go. Everybody listen up. Okay, the first one for the hat and bag number 1 is Cindy Mack. So Cindy, if you are watching, text either the Golden Guru or myself or Facebook Messenger us within 3 minutes to claim your prize. And the second identical prize goes to Rose Frazier. If she is watching, the same thing, text the Golden Guru or me or Facebook Messenger us within 3 minutes to claim your prize.
Congratulations, guys. Well done.
Right.
And if they're not watching, for 3 minutes, we'll drop them in the morning.
Makes the people happy when they win something cool.
Yeah, well done. Good on them. Thank you for watching.
And I'm going through my questions here, and we've covered most of them. However, Mark Hoover is asking, what's the fastest way to get a 5x10 Coiltek coil for the Equinox? Well,
you have to talk with Phil about that. Maybe give him a bit of a high five, and Phil might help you with that. You never know.
Yeah, so hopefully I can help him with that. I think I had an order, in for 20 of them right off the bat. I might have added to that, but we're still waiting, Trevor. So
yeah, don't worry. I better get out there. I'm going to go and keep working now. No.
All right, Jeff. Did you have a winner?
Rose Frazier.
Rose Frazier.
Whoever, Cindy, if you're watching and you're going to text or Facebook Messenger, tell us your name too, so we know. Rose, you're good to go. Get me all your information. Email treasuretalkshow@gmail.com. We'll get it to Trevor, and we'll go from there.
Yeah,
well done. Well done.
Yeah, it's always good if you put your name on there, because that way we know who it is. All righty. Oh, Tim Naylor's asking, I guess no, he's asking somebody, I don't know who that is. That wasn't a winner. The second winner was Cindy Mack. That wasn't Cindy Mack. Okay, Tim Naylor's asking a depth comparison from the 11-inch coil, I guess, to the 15 or the 14x9. How would they compare?
Sure. So the 11-inch standard's a good size coil for all-day use. The 14x9 will probably have some similarities as far as depth goes on the 11-inch. But obviously you're covering a little bit more ground and maybe a little bit better pinpointing ability, and because of the narrow aspect of the coil. But, you know, I still think the 14x9 will be slightly deeper on larger targets. So the 15-inch round will be our deepest searcher, or it will be the deepest searcher of all the coils. But you just got to remember that when you're putting a 15x12 versus a 15-inch side by side, there's probably 90% of the targets that they will see the same. And there may even be some targets that the 15x12 might see a little bit better and clearer because it's a little bit narrower and more sensitive. But the area where the 15-inch round will come into play will be those really deep, larger targets that the 15x12 won't be able to see because it's just too narrow. So, you know, a lot of the coils are going to have some similarities, and you'll find that, oh, this coil is seeing exactly the same as what that other coil is. However, the real test will be to take back these coils to areas where, say, if you're getting the 14x9, go back to an area where you found some good stuff with the 11-inch and run it over there. And, 9 times out of 10, you might find 1 or 2 more targets that can be of value for you. And that can help prove that these coils will do something different and give you a bit better opportunity. So, like I said before, we don't give any statistical comparison data between the coils, but we can say, and we talk about what the differences may be between them.
Okay. Hey, I got to interrupt real quick.
Yeah.
Jeff,
Cindy is here.
yeah, she texted me twice. I didn't realize that. I think on my phone I had everything turned off, so I didn't have to worry about the live feed coming through the text. So she's here. So we got both of them.
Cindy, get me your info, treasuretalkshow@gmail.com, and we'll get you your goodies.
Congratulations.
So what was your question, Phil, before I so rudely interrupted you?
I don't know. I think I've lost my train of thought.
Well, it's probably at the station, so,
Forgot to pack his bags, did he?
Yeah. You answered the one from Tim Naylor. And let's see.
I've got one here from Ed. I don't know if we covered it or not, but he says, I hunt the salt beaches in Florida and spend some time in the water. Should I get the 10x5 or the 15-inch coil?
For me, beach hunting, I would normally go for a large 15-inch. If I'm going to start doing the wet sand and dry sand, there's a lot of beach to cover, and the targets can sink quite deep in some areas, so you want some depth capability. So for me, the 15-inch round would be my beach hunting coil. But it will depend on what you want to do. You can transition straight from dry to wet to water with all these coils, so there shouldn't be too much drama with those. And in the water, we know that the 15-inch is actually quite a low drag coil as well, so it'll run through nicely in the little bit deeper water as well. But as we said before, don't try and push these coils, or any coil really, too hard and fast through the water. Just let it just go through nicely, because you don't want to put too much pressure on your shaft or the coil itself for any potential damage. But for me, I think the 15-inch would be a good one. But you can also get the 10x5 and get the 10x5 on there, because that'll be good for other little areas too. They're both going to have really good attributes. It's going to be a bit difficult to say to one person to say get this one, because they're going to have some good attributes. So hopefully you can find some good targets with the 15-inch or the 10x5 and get enough return on investment to justify getting another one.
Okay. Well, I've got a question from YouTube. Actually, one thing I wanted to say, you're talking about people going slow, not pushing them coils too fast. If you insist on pushing them real fast, just call Phil and I, and we'll follow you, and we'll pick up the stuff that you're missing. At any rate, if somebody from YouTube, let me see who it was here. It is Michael Busy Bee wants to know if you're going to make any coils for the MyLab Vanquish.
No, not at this stage. The Vanquish is entry-level product, and obviously in the entry-level price range. And for us to make a coil for those detectors would be potentially as much as the detector itself. And,
Right.
We have to be mindful of that people may not want to spend that sort of money. We manufacture everything on site here in our Adelaide location in Salisbury South. We do import a few little raw materials, but nothing too much. Everything's manufactured on site here. So we have a good facility and good trained technicians here, but our cost of manufacture is slightly higher than manufacturing on an international or offshore basis. So we just have to be mindful of what detectors we can build coils for.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I just had one question, and they just asked us, but I already know the answer. They wanted to know, I guess, if the coils will work in the Atlantic Ocean. But yes, all these coils work on saltwater, because I've used Trevor's products before. And but the Equinox excels on saltwater, so I know they're going to work great.
Well, I'm going to test it out in May because I'm going to be on the East Coast detecting for a week. So hopefully, if I have my 14x9 coil from Coiltek, I will be testing it out. And I hope I have it.
Hope so too.
I've had several people ask me on the pricing on the coils, and I don't know them off the top of my head, but they're on my website. So they can take a look at the price there. And actually, if they want to pre-order one, they can. Now, Trevor's telling me he's going to have me mine in a month or less. Right, Trevor?
Or less, yes, yeah, that's all right. I'll put in a good word for you, Phil and Jeff.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky. You know,
I know.
it's a really difficult, you know, can appreciate with the, you know, a lot of electronics and a lot of global situations at the moment. There's a lot of shortages. So, you know, we just appreciate everyone's patience, but we do what we can and put in a good word here and there for you, Phil and Jeff. How's that sound?
You knew we were going to give you a little bit of grief, didn't you, Trevor?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I've been copping it all week. You know, our international, you know, customers and from the US and even Australians, you know, we are getting lots of questions as to availability and people want to be at the top of the list all the time. But, you know, yeah, we can only do what we can do at the moment and we are pushing them out every week. So, you know, we're doing everything we can to keep up with that and things are just going to get better and better as the weeks go on because we have put on some new staff to help us with this. And obviously, like I said before, new staff take a little bit to get up to speed and to make sure that the quality's correct. So my engineer and quality officer have got a big task ahead of them to make sure that everyone's trained properly and don't put the wrong bits in the wrong places so we have any rework or problems out there in the field. But they all get 100% tested before they're released here, so we're very confident with them.
Well, that's a good thing. That way you don't have to deal with, you know, the problems of trying to, you know, hurry up and send out inferior stuff. It's got to be done right. Wait another week or so. They're not going to die. And they have it done the correct way. So when they get their coil, they put it on and they go out and start swinging it. It's working like you designed it to work.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Correct. The last thing we've been down roads before, which we didn't want to, you know, for other releases, and this one we made sure that everything's ticked off. But yeah, you're exactly right, Jeff. We need to just make sure we pride ourselves on quality and good performance. You know, we do, you know, want to make sure that that's first and foremost, so people actually get the benefits from these coils, and they don't bounce back, and we have other headaches because they're worse problems to have. You know?
Yes, they are.
Absolutely. Want that. Hey, I did have one question from Lewis. He's asking, Trevor, if you ever ran into any crocodiles when you're metal detecting.
No, not here in South Australia. That's more northern Australia, like in Queensland. You know, they're the man eaters up there, but we do have great white sharks here. So I sort of go into up to my ankles, and then I get a bit scared because there's guys that get out there a little bit deeper. And I think in Florida too, you have, you know, bull sharks and sharks, but you know, there's always that risk when you go into other people's territory, you know, or other animals' territory. But yeah, so far I haven't encountered anything. We do have brown snakes here, which is the second deadliest snake in the world. So we have king browns and brown snakes. So I've come across a few of those, but because you've got the detector on you, you can normally push them away, or, you know, they hear you before you come in anyway.
Yeah, we have sharks here. We have bull sharks. They're pretty aggressive, and you know, you just have to not go at nighttime. But I have friends who metal detect at nighttime, so you want to catch me in the water at nighttime.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, the worst snake you have to watch out for is the snake in the grass that's behind your back. So
yeah. That's right. So humans do more damage to humans.
Witching hour, Philip.
Pardon me?
We're almost at the magic witching hour.
Oh, are we? Boy, this one too.
What it goes fast, doesn't it?
But thank you, Trevor, for coming on. We're excited about the 3 coils, and hopefully everybody will buy all 3 of them.
That would be great. Thank you very much. You know, and to help support all the dealers like Phil and the other dealers around. You know, go and support your local dealer, and Phil does a great job down there. well, I should say up there because we're down here on
you're
global
down
terms. But
Yeah.
yeah. But no, I really do appreciate it. People can hit us up through our website, coiltek.com.au. We have a Facebook group, Coiltek Coils Facebook group. We've got Coiltek Coils, our Facebook page. I'm answering as many emails and contacts as possible, so you're welcome to send us any questions. Hopefully I can get on again in a few months' time and maybe we do a special 2-hour show where everyone wants to have a bit more of a chat, maybe, if there's other questions. But yeah, do appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, I wanted to
Very grateful.
and Jeff, if you don't mind, give me a few seconds for this.
Sure.
Get your 15-inch coil or your 14x9 Coiltek coil. You are going to need to upgrade your scoop. So you're going to need a nice big Stealth 920i hybrid scoop. You're going to need that because you're going to want to dig those really deep targets with your new Coiltek coil. So remember that, guys. You're going to need a bigger scoop to dig faster. And thank you, Trevor. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jocelyn. And thank you to all the members who signed, especially the new members, because we've been growing kind of rapidly the past few weeks. Haven't we, Jeff?
We have been growing extremely rapidly, and that's a good thing. And we attribute that to the fantastic guests that we have and to the Gold Guru. They're the ones that make it happen, and we are just as excited as we can be about you being on, Trevor. And you're right, we were going to have you back. We're booked out now, we're booking into August now, so that'd be just about right.
Yeah.
And you never know, you may have something new and exciting to talk about at that time.
Oh, you never know. You have to wait and see. But yeah, that'd be good timing because we'll have the coils out for a bit there. So that's good.
Yeah. So I'll get up with you, Trevor, and we'll get you scheduled again. And we want to, Phil, thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
Jonathan, thank you. And Trevor, we so appreciate you. All the members and viewers. We thank you, thank you, thank you, and we will see you next week right here, Treasure Talk Live, Mondays at 7 p.m. And remember, Saturday is daylight savings time, so do your clock, spring ahead an hour, so you're not late for the show. We'll see you then.
All right,
Night,
guys.
Phil. Night, Trevor.
Yeah.
Night,
Bye, everyone.
We'll see you.
Bye-bye.